Welcome to Darkroom Tales, where the darkness speaks. Ready for your next nightmare?
Ward 13, full horror story. A cold rain was falling the night. Daniel arrived at the abandoned Ridgewood Psychiatric Hospital. The building had been shut down for nearly 20 years, yet rumors about it never died. Some said the hospital was closed because of budget cuts. Others whispered about illegal experiments, missing patients, and a doctor who had gone insane himself. Daniel never believed any of it. At least, not until the night he stepped through the front doors. He wasn't a thrill seeker or an urban explorer. He was a documentary filmmaker. His upcoming video was supposed to reveal the truth behind the hospital's closure, nothing more. Just him, his camera, and a few hours of footage. But Ridgewood had other plans for him. 1. Entering the hospital, the air inside was different. Heavy, thick, as if the walls had absorbed every scream that had ever echoed here. Moss crept up the peeling tiles, and rust clung to every metal rail. Daniel switched on his flashlight and began filming. December 14th, he whispered into the camera. Ridgewood Psychiatric Hospital. Time is 10:42 p.m. Exploring alone. His voice echoed back to him twice, as if the building had repeated his words with a slight delay. He ignored it. The first few rooms were empty, broken beds, old charts, soggy papers scattered across the floor. But then he saw something strange. A fresh footprint, barefoot, small, as if from a child. It led down the hall. Daniel followed, telling himself it belonged to some homeless person who wandered in earlier. But deep down, he already knew something was wrong. 2. The nurses' station. He approached the central nurses' station. Papers were still pinned to the board, including the shift list for May 4th, 2006, the day the hospital closed. A name had been circled in red ink over and over. Drive. Lena Harrow, Ward 13. Daniel frowned. He flipped through the logbook. Many pages were blank except for one note scribbled violently. Do not open Ward 13. Keep her inside. Ha! Daniel murmured. The flashlight flickered. A loud clang echoed from the hallway behind him. He spun around. A wheelchair was rolling slowly toward him. Even though the floor was perfectly level, it stopped right at his feet. 3. The first whisper. Daniel only heard it when he replayed the camera footage later. But even in the moment he felt something icy move past him. A whisper, right behind his ear. Daniel, he froze. He had never mentioned his name aloud since entering the hospital. Not once. His breath quickened. He continued filming, but his hands shook. The camera caught a shadow darting across the hall, fast to belong to a human. He followed it, because curiosity was stronger than fear. For now. 4. Ward 13. The further he walked, the colder it became. His breath turned into fog. Pipes groaned behind the walls, as if the building itself were alive. Then he reached a metal door at the very end of the corridor. Huge, reinforced, with multiple locks and warning signs. Ward 13. Authorized personnel. Only. The strange barefoot footprints led directly inside. Daniel gulped. If this is staged, it's a good one. He pushed the door. It opened with a violent screech. Inside, the walls were painted with numbers. The same number, over and over, scratched by nails. 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13 hundreds of times. And on the far wall, smeared in something dark and flaky, were the words, "She never left." Daniel backed away. Then the lights went out. 5. The girl darkness swallowed the room. Only the small glow from Daniel's camera screen illuminated anything. His flashlight refused to turn back on, and then he heard it. Soft breathing. Right behind him, he slowly turned the camera around. A girl stood less than a meter away, barefoot, in a thin hospital gown, hair covering her face. Her fingers were impossibly long, like broken twigs. Daniel stumbled backward, dropping the flashlight. The girl tilted her head as if studying him. Who are you?" Daniel whispered. She didn't answer with words. She opened her mouth, but instead of a scream, a distorted, metallic static burst out, like a broken radio. The camera glitched. When the picture cleared, she was gone. 6. Patient files. Daniel ran into the hallway, gasping. He forced himself to hide in the staff archive room. Only when he closed the door did he realize the shelves were filled with old patient files. One lay open on the table. Patient 301. Lena Harrow, age 9. Daniel froze. She shared the same last name as the doctor. The notes were disturbing. Extreme aggression, hallucinations, ability to mimic voices perfectly, claims she can walk between walls, separation from mother recommended. At the bottom, written in trembling handwriting, "She found a way out of her room last night. She whispered to me using my husband's voice, even though he died 3 years ago." Daniel felt the air shift again. Then the door handle turned. Slowly, quietly, something was trying to enter. 7. The maze he ran. His footsteps echoed through the halls, but something else echoed too. Footsteps not matching his own. They were faster, barefoot. The building layout made no sense anymore. Corridors looped back. Doors he closed seconds ago were suddenly open again. At one point he swore he saw himself standing in a doorway, watching him run. Ridgewood was twisting itself. The camera display glitched again and again, briefly showing images that weren't really there. Patients crawling on the ceiling, doctors with no faces, empty rooms filled with silent screaming. He turned another corner and froze. A tall silhouette stood at the end of the hallway. A woman this time. A doctor's coat. Her head hung unnaturally low, chin touching her chest. Blood dripped from her sleeves. "Dr. Harrow," Daniel whispered. The figure twitched, then slowly lifted her head. Where her eyes should have been were empty, pulsing sockets. She raised a shaking arm and pointed behind him. Daniel spun around. The girl from Ward 13 was inches from his face. This time she screamed. 8. Running out of time, the scream was human. It was layered, a child's cry, a man's shout, a woman's sob, all playing at once like an orchestra of suffering. The hallway lights exploded. Daniel ran blindly. His legs shook, his lungs burned, but the footsteps behind him never slowed. They crawled along the walls, across the ceiling, all around him. The girl's whisper echoed from everywhere. "Daniel, Daniel, Daniel." He reached the lobby. The exit doors were right there, but when he grabbed the handle it didn't move. Rusted shut. Something cold touched his neck. He didn't look back. He threw the camera at the doors, shattering the glass, and squeezed through the broken frame, cutting his arms and legs on the shards. He tumbled outside, rolled onto the wet asphalt, and ran until Ridgewood was nothing more than a distant shadow. 9. Aftermath. Daniel survived, but something followed him. At night, He hears breathing behind him. He unplugged every device in his apartment, yet he still hears static, the same metallic rasp the girl made. When he checks the footage he recorded that night, he sees things he doesn't remember filming. A hand touching his shoulder, a face watching him sleep, a shadow standing in the corner of his living room, and at the very end of the video a girl's whisper, "Clear, close," right next to the microphone. I found a way out too.
This was Darkroom Tales. Thank you for watching.